What's that? What is up? We are back. So a few weeks ago, I saw a video by PewDiePie where he's talking about his top 9 video games of all time for himself. Meaning, like, these aren't the most best graphic games or nothing like that, but the video games that mean the most to him. And I guess this was like a big trend a long time ago, but obviously your boy missed it. So I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and make a top 9 video games for me. And again, these video games are more of a top 9 for as far as what they mean to me, and not so much as like they're the best graphics or the best storyline. It's nothing like that. It's just these video games specifically have a real special place to me in my heart. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So my first game is Donkey Kong Country on the SNES. This was probably my first big experience with any video game, as it probably was for, you know, a lot of people that were born in the 1990s or late 1980s. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I remember it used to be dark outside and my mom would be about to take me to daycare. And I'd just be kind of sitting there on the floor in front of the TV, just grinding away on every level. But it would be me and my older brother, who's actually 10 years older than me. So if I was 4 or 5, he would have been 14 or 15 years old. And me and him would just take turns going back and forth. But it not only was like, it wasn't just fun for me, but it was also special to me because I obviously, as the baby of my family, I looked up to my older brother and my older sister, but you know, specifically with video games and other things like that, I looked up a lot to my older brother. So this time with him meant a lot to me, especially later on. Probably not right then and there. Obviously, I was just a kid wanting to play Donkey Kong, but later on, it would become a big deal for me. Specifically, I remember the minecart levels. Those levels, I remember, made me so mad. That game had the first of many things for me. The first time I raged quit, probably the first time I cried over a video game. And then me and my brother would switch turns and we would celebrate all day long if we made it to the big boss battle. I think it was on that big like pirate ship with the big alligator guy. I'm pretty sure. Maybe my memory's not that great anymore on that. It was so much fun to me, and I still love Donkey Kong Country. I just recently got a Switch, and that was the first game that I got whenever I bought their premium family membership. It still holds up. It's still a fun game, and it is so well made. I personally love it. It was a blast. As a heads up, for the first few of these, a lot of them have to do with my older brother because he was such an influence on me whenever I was a kid. Okay, so for my second game, it's Gauntlet on the Sega Dreamcast. It's a multiplayer RPG where, you know, you can choose your race of character. I think I was a wizard and my brother was, I don't know, some sort of warrior guy. So as I said before, my brother was like 10 years older than me. So he moved out of the house, you know, obviously whenever I was still really young. Whenever he moved out, I was just waiting every single week for him to come over or to call my mom and ask and see like, hey, you want to like have Noah come over? And so I loved it. Like anytime I can go over to my big brother's house, I was so excited and I was just like, oh, that made my week. So we would go over to his house and he just got this Sega Dreamcast, and I remember just being in awe of it because it had that little memory card that had the little screen on it, and I was just like, how did they do this? How is this possible? So we ended up playing Gauntlet every time that I came over there, and we had a save, and every single time we got further and further. I just remember at the time, it was so much fun. I remember going back to school and be like, do you know what Gauntlet is? You don't know what Gauntlet is? Forget you, loser. I played with my 25-year-old brother. So So fuck you. All right, so for my third game, it's a game called Sim Life. For those of you who don't know what Sim Life was, it was basically a bunch of little pixels that were supposed to be representative of animals, and you have this flat map of the world, and you place these animals that you start out with all over the map, and like some of them were predators and some of them were not predators, some of them would fly, some of them swim, and basically you would, over the course of time, you see them migrate, or sometimes if you put too many of the carnivores in, they would make another species of animal go extinct because they would eat them all. Or then sometimes like an elephant and a giraffe or something like that in the game, two animals can mate and then make an entirely new animal. You still can't see what it is really because it's all pixels. It's not good looking at all. But for me at the time, that's when I like really fell in love with sim style games. I lived primarily with my mom. My mom was a single mother pretty much my whole life. But at one point, I ended up moving back with my dad for just a year because I wanted to go back to my old school. It was a 1-year thing. And then I moved back in. But during that year, I lived in the basement of my dad's house, and my older brother just so happened to have, like, I don't know, for some reason he ended up moving in with my dad as well that year. So me and him had 2 separate rooms in his basement, and that was also where their computer was for the house, was in their basement. So me and my brother would play, you know, different games. One of them being Sim Life. I love Sim Life. It was so much fun. It was a great game. I tried using an emulator for it online a while back, and I just was like, I don't know how I ever played this. But anyway, it's out there somewhere online if you want to go check it out. It's Sim Life, you know. Ain't nothing like, 15 years later. What can I say? The fourth game is Age of Empires. And for this one, I'm going to basically include Age of Empires 1, 2, and 3. And holla, we're about to get a 4th one, baby. So again, back in that 1-year span of time, whenever I was living with my dad, one of the games that me and my brother were obsessed with was Age of Empires. Me and my brother would take turns, and at one point, like, it just got to where, like, I would play and my brother would be like, okay, now let's do this, and like, let's strategize over this. We would have these huge breaks, and we'd go and eat lunch, and we would just talk about our strategies and how we would defeat the other continents and the other colonizations, or the other empires, I guess. I was obsessed with it. And honestly, even thinking back then, I don't even know if my brother was that obsessed with it. But I think he saw that I was, so maybe he was just, probably just being a big brother. I don't know. But our love for Age of Empires grew as time went on. And of course, I bought, I think, Age of Empires 2 at one point myself and played it at my house. And then for my 16th birthday, my brother had me come over to his house, and it was my 16th birthday, so I was able to drive there by myself. And so whenever I got over there, I didn't know this, but apparently Age of Empires 3 had just come out. And so my brother went and bought the game for me for my 16th birthday. And I was ecstatic. I had no idea the game was even out. It had been a while since I had been to Walmart, and they come in those hard plastic cardboard maybe cases where they have like the open flap on them and stuff. And I think back then Age of Empires 3 was like $60. It was a full game. So we installed it on his computer, and we played and played and played and played. And then I brought it home and I played, and I still play it. Even to this day, I will whip out Age of Empires. Even like the first one, honestly, the first one's probably still my favorite of all of them. And I will still play the shit out of them. I also remember doing cheat codes. I think that was the first time I ever used cheat codes in the game. But on Age of Empires, you used to be able to put in these cheat codes where you can put like this Viper car and all these crazy little characters and stuff in the game that would just make the game insane. Anyway, it was a blast, and oh man, I had so much fun playing that game. Okay, so the next one is probably on like a lot of people's list, but I have to say it. Goldeneye on Nintendo 64. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? I had an obsession with it. Goldeneye was amazing. I used to play it day in, day out. I used to have all my friends used to come over, and we used to take turns playing the snow level. And me and my friends would stay up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes just pull an all-nighter and just grind until we can, until we can beat the game or beat a level. And it was so much fun. I mean, good memories. All right, so this one's going to be a little bit of a deep cut, but I don't know, maybe it's not as much as I think it is. But the next game is BMX XXX. So if you don't know what this game is, it's basically Tony Hawk Pro Skater for BMX bikes, but with boobs. Okay, hear me out. So the soundtrack was amazing to this game. I remember the soundtrack was phenomenal. Just as good as, in my opinion, just as good as Tony Hawk's soundtrack. But obviously there was a little bit more to the game than just that. So the big idea of the game was to get, basically you would beat a level, and then every time you beat a level or get some goal or a new high score, like this cutscene would happen of like this girl dancing, and she would basically take off like one extra piece of clothing or something. And so essentially the goal is to beat the game and keep grinding to basically where you I sound like such an incel. To basically to where she would just be naked dancing. Yeah, I know it sounds weird and stuff, but back then I was in high school when I played this, and me and my friends would all go down to the basement and play BMX XXX. This is also back in the day in high school. Down in my basement, I had I had my piano set up down there. I had some keyboards, some instruments. I had like a ping pong table down there. All types of stuff. We had all types of things in my basement, and it was sort of like our hangout, And so every day after school, we would go down and play BMX XXX and laugh and laugh and laugh, and we had so much fun. We had a blast playing that game, and like 2 people will be playing that game trying to grind out the levels, and then 2 people will be in the back playing ping pong, and we just rotated and rotated and rotated, and it was so much fun. And especially since that was in my high school years, those years are literally priceless. And I had a blast with my friends. And even a lot of those memories, even though it was such a weird, insane concept of a game, but it was still cool. It was fun. I had a blast. It was fun. All right, so on to the next one, Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. I'm gonna go ahead and put these 2 together. I think whenever I first played Red Dead Redemption, it was several years after it had come out. I think it was back when I was first getting back into gaming. I think I was getting my bachelor's at the time in college, and the game had already been, I think the game was already like a few years old. But as I was playing it, I just got so obsessed with the character arc and the story of the game, and all of the different characters and all of their background and their stories and the fighting in the game. And the horseback riding was so cool. And I remember like being able to hunt stuff. It was also the first time for me where a video game character died. And then I was just left with like this new, unique experience that I had never felt before in a video game. For Red Dead Redemption 2, it was a phenomenal game. I'm still obsessed with that game. I played that game. I played that game after I was on Twitch, so I got to share that game with all of my community and all of the family members. It was so much fun. Awesome game. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love it! Anyway, so for the next game, it has to be Stardew Valley. Now, before I get into this too deep, I want to make sure to put a trigger warning that I will briefly be talking about mourning and death and anything. So just in case anybody's in that headspace, in that kind of area in their life right now, you can go ahead and skip to this number, but it'll just be for a minute. So back in 2016, my mom passed away. It had left me very obviously emotional, depressed. I was really not in a good time in my life. And I had remembered like Jake Baldino from Game Ranks and all of the rest of the Game Ranks crew. This was back when they had a podcast talking about Stardew Valley all the time. Like, they would not shut up about it. So I finally went ahead and said, screw it, I'll go ahead and download it. I think it was on my PS4. And I dove into that game. So probably still to this day, it's probably the video game that I dove in. Excuse me. I probably had never ever gotten into a video game that hard before. I would spend every waking moment on Stardew Valley. I would basically wake up, brush my teeth, and sit on the couch and play Stardew. And then at some point, I would put the controller up super late at night, 4 o'clock in the morning, go bathe, and then go to bed. That was just kind of how I dealt with my grief at the time. It wasn't until a long time after that I discovered therapy. But for the time being, Stardew Valley was my coping mechanism. And I am so happy that I was able to have that whenever I was going through that point in my life. Stardew Valley literally has helped me through so many other times now. It's insane what that game has done. And not only that, but now my wife has recently gotten into Stardew Valley. And now it's become like a game that we can bond over and that we can share moments together with. I think we're even talking about getting like matching Junimo tattoos and doing it in the little Junimo language and stuff. And anyway, Stardew has just played this huge, massive role in my life. Big shout out to the Game Ranks people, Jake Baldino. I love you, brah. Pizza's on you. I'm broke. What do you expect? And I think most of you know that I cannot make a top game list without mentioning No Man's Sky. Now, I, like many, bought No Man's Sky and whenever it first came out and absolutely hated it. I think I played it for like 4 hours, deleted it. Bloop, 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 bye-bye. But I think it was in 2018 when I decided to go ahead and reinstall it on my PS4. And whenever I jump back into the game, I realized like, whoa, like a lot of stuff has changed. Not too much. There's definitely more there than there was like 2 years before reinstalling it, you know? And so I realized back then, I was like, okay, I want to know more about this game. I want to learn all like the little tricks and stuff like that. So that's whenever I downloaded Twitch and I found a streamer by the name of Rebel Rabble. Shout out to Rebel Rabble. Go give him some love, everyone. So Rebel was playing No Man's Sky at the time. He's a variety streamer. And I got real close to his community and to him, and he made me feel special, like whenever I watched. And I think that's whenever I decided to really try to do this myself and to like stream and to like grow. I wanted people to play with. I wanted friends. I wanted, you know, somebody to share this experience with. So that's whenever I started streaming. Of course, at first I was on my MacBook and my PS4, which was not the ideal situation, but it worked at the time. But within probably the first week, I already had like several people who I ended up becoming friends with later on, and that community grew over time. And at one point, before I stopped streaming No Man's Sky, I still go back to it every now and then, but before I stopped streaming No Man's Sky, like a lot of you know, it really grew into this like really big No Man's Sky community. And I am so thankful for that opportunity. Because of No Man's Sky, I now have friends that I met back then, and they are still on my stream to this day. And thanks to No Man's Sky, I had this beautiful start on Twitch and this welcoming community, and I got to meet all these amazing people and different players and just in communities and different streamers, and it really gave me this opportunity to become somebody I've always wanted to be, and somebody that other people can call a friend. We're coming up on 3 years. I mean, some of these people I've known longer than some of my IRL friends. You know, like these people have been through hell and back with me as far as just like different points in my life and me going through different things with my family and heartbreak and love and celebrations. A lot of these people have been there this whole time, and all of that is thanks to No Man's Sky. I am so thankful that I decided to reinstall it and give it a second chance. By the way, No Man's Sky, the game, if you haven't gone back and given it a chance, please do yourself a favor and go back, give it a chance. No Man's Sky is such an incredible game. It is so amazing. The community is so awesome. There are literally unlimited things you can do in that game. And I still say to this day that it is on, and probably will remain on my top games of all time, and because it just means so much to me, and it has gotten me through a lot of different times, and has given me this gift called family and community, and I couldn't be happier with it. So definitely go give No Man's Sky a try. It's I think the ratings on Steam have even gone up a lot since then, and I'm just very proud to have that title. So there we go. Those are my 9 games that meant the most to me. The games that truly impacted my life and sort of helped form me into the person I am today. I hope you liked this video. What are your top 9 games? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. As always, I appreciate you. I love you. And I hope you have an amazing, beautiful day. High five, motherfucker!